Oh gosh, am I gonna regret talking about all this stuff? I hope not. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michael. I'm also known as the Brooks brother, and I'm here today with a video. Goes without saying, it's been quite a while since I have filmed anything or uploaded on YouTube, so if you've been waiting for a new video, thank you for sticking around. Yeah, today I just want to do a little chit chat and put some makeup on, talk about sort of things that have been going on for me, and I hope you enjoy. I'm in quite a new setup. It's new for a number of reasons, but we'll get into that in the video. If there's any funny noises, like background noise or light adjusting or anything like that, just know that I'm gonna sort it out. So yeah, without any further delay or chit chat from me, I'm just gonna get right into the video. Okay, so I have already done my brows. Just to save a little bit of time, I use Got To Be Glued spiking glue in my brows. If you want to know how I do this, it is in a couple of my videos on here, but I've also posted a few tutorials on my IGTV. There's a few different brow videos in there where I use this. So yeah, I've just brushed them up and laid them flat so they're good to go. And I'm gonna jump right into my eyes. I'm feeling a spring vibe today, so I'm gonna use this. This is a new palette from Artist Couture. It's the spring collection. It's called Ethereal Bloom, and it looks cute with my nails. So it's full of these kind of like floral colors, like springy pastel tones and some shimmers in there too. So I'm gonna do something colorful and springy. I'm gonna prime my lids first before I do that. So I'm gonna use these Revolution Ultimate Eye Bases, one in medium and one in light. And I'm gonna mix those two together. I'm also gonna use some new brushes. These are the Katie Jane Hughes and Spectrum collections collaboration. So there's like a ton of brushes here, so I'm gonna use them for my whole face. But yeah, shout out to Spectrum Collections. Thanks for the hookup. And congratulations, Katie Jane Hughes. I'm gonna try and not talk too much about what I'm actually doing as I do it, because then I will forget to fill you guys in on what's going on. It's been a really long break for me actually. Filming and doing makeup and like my routine with all that. Actually, hold on, let me zoom it in. So if you're confused about anything that I'm doing or what a product is, if I forget to mention it, I'll list everything in the description, so don't worry. So I'm gonna go right into this palette. It's so beautiful, I love the packaging. I love this like shiny, smooth plastic, and like something about it is just like so satisfying to me. Lots of changes going on in my life at the moment. My last video was filmed in London and I'm not there at the moment. I decided I needed a break from the city life. Some things kind of came up in my personal life with my health and my mental health, and I decided that home would be the best place for me to be. So home for me is Canada. So I live in like a small city just outside of Toronto, and it's where I'm from. I'm living with my parents again. My whole setup looks different, so I'm in a different space. It's nice because I have a designated workspace, so I can just do all of my work here and have a separate space in my bedroom for relaxing. So that's been really nice. Overall, I just have a lot more space. But yeah, that's kind of like just straight to the point what exactly has been going on. I left London. I don't know if it's a permanent choice or if it's just something for right now. But sometimes, you know, you have to make decisions that just feel like they're forever decisions. But in the moment, it's just kind of about doing what you need, right? So that's kind of what I've been focused on for the first part of this year, has just been really trying to tune into what I need and go with it. I think if 2020 has taught me anything, it's the importance of prioritizing your needs in a time of difficulty, right? And that can be really hard. And for me, I was finding it was just really hard to deal with the things that I needed to deal with when I'm so far away in another country, so far away from my family and, you know, support systems that are here that aren't necessarily in London or abroad. You know, it's been a big adjustment. A lot of my life is still in London because I want to go back. A lot of my life, meaning material possessions, relationships that have just kind of been left at a standstill, work opportunities, all kinds of things just kind of put on the back burner for now. So that's pretty much been my life over the last few months, and it's why you've seen, if you are a follower of you know, more than one of my platforms. That's why you've probably seen my pace slow down quite a bit. I don't put out content very often. And it's just because I've been trying to take care of myself. Sometimes we don't talk about that enough, and you know, what it actually means to make big changes to your life for the sake of trying to take care of what you need. Self-care is so much more than this surface level stuff that we think it is, or that we're trained to think it is. Like, self-care includes making really difficult decisions sometimes, and for me that really difficult decision was, well, packing up, coming home for a bit, trying to figure out if I'm gonna, you know, move back here permanently or go back to the UK or what. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. That's all I can really say. Is every day I just try and remind myself that here's where I need to be, and London will always be there. Now I have a new setup. I have a new space. I have a new backdrop. I have some new lights. Hopefully I can be a little bit more consistent with my uploading. That would be really good for all parties involved. And we can move forward. So I just want to say, like, thank you for sticking around, and thank you for understanding. In no way am I trying to complain or sound like I'm complaining that, you know, I had to come back here. I'm very fortunate to be from a country like Canada, and I'm also very fortunate to have this home situation that will sort of welcome me back. I just turned 29, so I'm 29 and back living with my parents, and that felt like a bit of a tough pill to swallow, but you have to do what you have to do sometimes. Gosh, my lips are dry. One sec. Overall, I feel very fortunate to be in a position where I can choose to work for myself right now and just dedicate my time to content creation. You have to count your blessings at a time when you're feeling like you're really going through it, and I'm very lucky. So I do want to acknowledge that. I don't know if I'm coming across like I'm really down in the dumps or not, but I've been having a bit of a difficult time. You know, I also have to acknowledge my privileges, you know, how fortunate I am to live the way I do and have the things that I do available to me. So shout out Mom and Dad. Thank you for taking me back in and just allowing me some space to decompress and figure out my next move, no matter how long it takes me. There's definitely silver linings in there, 100%. Giving up living in London for right now was tough. We move along, and I'm doing the things that I need to do to make myself feel better and allow myself the space to grow. I'm talking a lot about like super emotional stuff, so I don't mean to like be all that, but I've been really quiet about everything just online, and I just wanted to share. Even if you don't care and you just want to see me do my makeup, that's cool with me. Obviously, I appreciate your support either way. I really like the shape of this. I really like the shape of brushes that are like, it's like a pencil brush, but it's really skinny. I like that a lot. I'm doing a bit of a wing, and then also taking it into the crease. So we got this extended V pinky shape. Buffing in the top edge of it along the outer corner. The thing I really like about this brush set as well is that it came with a brush towel. And I actually didn't know that this was like a commonly done thing, but I always have a towel on the table with me, and I always buff eyeshadow and stuff out of it onto the towel just so that I can go between colors. And even if you are not going between colors and you just want to take the eyeshadow off, it's really nice to be able to like blend with a clean brush. I didn't make like a super clear plan, which I love to do. So I'm just kind of making this up as I go. I have a rough idea of how I want it to look, but also my hair. I realized that if you only really watch me on YouTube, my hair has been all over the place over the last year. It was shaved for a while and that was a little bit grown in, and then there was a hat in the last video, and now it's like long. So I'm actually working on a bit of a mullet moment. I'm really liking it so far, but I don't know how much longer I can survive with hair. So I went ahead and added a liner on this side. This is the water ink by Melolops, and it's a collaboration with Cut Creaser. Color is called Point Break, and it's like a cobalt blue color. Just wanted something like a little bit darker that you could really see the difference. And then I'm gonna clean up this bit underneath so that it's a little bit sharper. It's a KJH24 brush from Spectrum. The bristles on it are very long and skinny, so it's a lot like a paintbrush. I'm just taking a flat brush now. This is a number 9, and I'm just gonna wiggle in some makeup remover and sharpen up that line underneath. I'm gonna take this KJH18 brush. I'm gonna grab this mint color here called Angelic, and I'm gonna pop that right along the outer corner of the lower lash line. And I'm just using one of the blending brushes from before to buff out the edge. I think what is going to bring this to life a little bit more is a bit of shimmer. I took some of this Diamond Lights finisher. The color is called Epiphany. Dumped a little into the lid, swept it across the whole lid. So I'm going to do the same on the other side so you can see it go on. I thought I ruined it at first, but I think it worked out fine. It gives the most beautiful, like, glossy almost looking texture, and it hasn't really moved any of the shadow that's underneath. It has like a pinkish purple duochromatic shift, and it's pretty magical, I must say. Hats off to Artist Couture for pulling this off. This is wicked. Now, it's all over my cheeks, so let's fix that up. I'm just kind of finishing up the lower lash line a little bit. I brought that coral down from the inner corner, and then I'm connecting the teal. Now what I'm gonna do is a bit of liner underneath. I couldn't speak during that. It took just about all my concentration. Lower lash line is done, so now definitely need some lash action going on. I'm gonna put some mascara on first. This is from We Makeup. It's the More Volume Mascara. Really like this mascara because it has quite a small brush. It's really good for catching all my skinny lashes. And I'm gonna put some lashes on. These lashes are from a brand called Audacious Beauty. So these are Audacious lashes. They're in the style Peitho. I hope I'm saying that right. The owner of this brand is actually a friend of mine, Brianna, and these lashes are amazing. So I will definitely link them below. Highly recommend, but you'll see them on in a second. So lashes are on. This is what they look like. They're like nice and wispy and fluffy, but they're not too bushy. I really love these lashes. I think that they're so beautiful. I'm gonna move on to my skin now. I'm going to prep. I'm gonna use these two primers, Hydrogrip and Poreless Putty Primer. So speaking of changes, over the last, oh gosh, probably year I would say, I've been trying to adopt a dairy-free diet because I've been finding that dairy does not work well with my skin. Anytime that I get breakouts, like I had acne as a teenager, but anytime that I get breakouts, I do find that I notice them more when I am eating a diet that consists of a lot of dairy. Over the last year, I would say I've been really trying to avoid it and make some changes, but it's really hard. And I do well with it most of the time. Like I stick to it, I would say 95% of the time. But the other night I had a piece of cheesecake that my mom made. And this guy appeared literally last night. From what I understand, dairy and sugar are things that are known to cause inflammation in acne-prone skin. So it's like a labor of love. It is something I'm always working away at, but sometimes it's just really hard, and I screwed up yesterday. It's that simple. It's a shame, but it is what it is. But nevertheless, I'm super thankful for makeup. At the end of the day, it's a breakout, and we all get them. It's nothing to cry about, but it is really annoying when I feel like I try really hard, and then I slip up one time really quick, and I'm left with a big old pimple. So I want to have some pretty good coverage in my skin, but I also want it to be really quite glowy. So I'm using something that is actually new, got it a little while ago. It is the Glow Lust from Auric, and this is a brand by Samantha. Glow Lust is like a radiant luminizer that has a bit of coverage in it. So this is the color Citrine, which is darker than my skin. I'm using it on my cheeks just as like a bit of a glowy bronzer first, and I'm just blending it in with my finger. These are really nice. I thought that it was going to be really similar to Charlotte Tilbury's Flawless Filter, but it has a lot more coverage in it, and a lot more grip as well. So it's actually become one of my favorite complexion products. And I don't say that very often. I'm a creature of habit. I'm just buffing it with a brush a little bit. I usually stick to the same things all the time, but this has really changed the game for me. And then for foundation today, I'm going to use NARS. This is the Soft Matte Complete Foundation. The color is Valencia. I'm gonna mix that into what's left of my Glow Lust. This is a really, really beautiful foundation. I love the color. The texture is super matte. So I find it borderline on the dry side, but it's super smoothing and the coverage is just incredible. So I'm buffing that in with a KJH02 brush. So far, I really love these brushes. I had never used them before today. They're all really nice. I see Katie Jane Hughes using these on Instagram stories. Like, she's been using them in her Instagram story tutorials for a really long time now, actually. And now finally getting to use them on myself, and I absolutely love them. I'm bringing this down my neck a little bit too because I have some nicks from shaving, unfortunately. Mixing that Glow Lust in with that matte foundation does really make it a little bit more glowy. You can see there's a little bit more radiance coming through than normal. If you've used this foundation yourself, you would probably know exactly what I'm talking about. The NARS foundation colors are just my favorite. They're amazing. Their shade range, they have such a good variety of undertones available. I just couldn't not try it, and I will use it because I do like matte foundation every now and again. For concealer, I'm going to stick in that NARS family. So this is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer. Shade on this one is Biscuit. I'm gonna put that on with a KJH07 brush. This concealer, okay, we can talk about this concealer for a second. I am not normally a fan of cream pot concealers. I usually find them a little bit too rich for my skin. Being someone that has oily skin, like, I find the texture of something creamy doesn't last as long as something that's liquid. And sometimes I have more difficulty making it look like skin, like it sits on top of my skin. It's not the industry standard for makeup artists. Most professional makeup artists will tell you that cream products are the way to achieve natural looking makeup. Always, like across the board, that's just how it goes. Maybe it just comes down to preference. I've never really been one for cream concealer from a pot like this. But this has changed my life. And I don't buy new concealer that often, especially because I'm gifted quite a lot of makeup. I spend most of my time trying things and complexion products, but I bought this because I felt like I really needed a concealer that matched my skin tone really, really well and was matte. And I thought, well, why not try something new? And I tried this and it's absolutely amazing. It definitely is matte and it has an insane amount of coverage in it. I don't know, if you're anything like me when it comes to liquid concealers and having that sort of addiction to them, and you want to try something new, I would give this a go. It's a really, really nice concealer. I'm gonna then add a little bit of brightness and highlight to my skin. This is Fenty's Pro Filter Concealer in number 310. And I'm just gonna do this under my eyes at the sides of my nose and a little bit on the bridge of my nose. Another thing that I've been focused on, it's funny, I resent saying moving home because I don't feel like I've actually moved. I feel like I'm just on a bit of an extended trip right now, but that's this limbo thing that I'm talking about. Like, I don't know where I'm gonna end up after I've spent the right amount of time, like doing some work on myself and work on my career and planning and stuff like that. I don't know if at the end of all that, I'm just gonna feel like I wanna stay here. This last, 3 or 4 months, it's been a lot of up and down, not really knowing like where I'm gonna land. Because I feel like I'm getting older. That means my parents are getting older too. In light of everything that's happened, I don't want to say it, but with the state of the world over the last year, this is gonna sound dark, but just hear me out. It has shed some light on just how fragile life is. We really don't know what tomorrow is gonna bring. Sorry, I got some foundation on my earrings I need to get off. Tomorrow isn't always promised. I don't want to sit here and talk about mortality, because I feel like that's quite heavy for, a makeup video. But, 2020 made me very aware of how quickly things can change. You really have to cherish moments while they are here in front of you. Something like my relationship with my family is really important to me and has always been really important to me, but being really far away overseas and watching this pandemic unfold, it's opened my eyes. And it's opened my eyes to my needs, the needs of my family, and wanting to be accessible to them and me wanting to have access to them. But again, that just kind of goes back to thinking about doing things that feel right to you in the moment, doing things that serve your needs. Even if it involves a really difficult decision to make, I think it's become really important to me. It's become really important to me. The fact that we don't know what's next for the people around us, that settling in has started to make me really scared. Like, I'm gonna be really far away and something's gonna happen to somebody that I love. Or something really good is gonna happen to somebody that I love and I can't be here to celebrate moments with them because, I'm so far away. And I think about that I moved to London. Oh, sorry, by the way, this is just some cream bronzer I'm putting on. I moved to London to make something of myself as a makeup artist, and then my career kind of crumbled at the hands of 2020. Everything I had worked really hard for, I suddenly didn't know if I wanted anymore, and all of a sudden it involved working at really close proximity to people that I don't know, and there's this virus, and I don't want to get people sick, and I don't want to get sick, and I don't want to get people around me sick. The bottom line is I chose to stop doing freelance makeup because it didn't feel good anymore. It didn't feel like what I wanted to do, especially in the context of a pandemic. But in turn, it meant parting ways with a lot of stuff that I worked really hard for. I uprooted my life here in Canada and I took it all to London, only for 3 years later for it to kind of fold on me, and that's been just a lot to process. It's been a lot to process. But it goes hand in hand with what I'm talking about when it comes to listening to what you really want, listening to yourself, honoring your needs no matter how difficult they are to me. I think that's really the bottom line of what I'm getting at here, is that I clearly identified some things that I felt I really needed to change, and a lot of them involved a lot of loss and parting ways with things that meant a lot to me, and it hurt, and I'm taking a really long time to process all of it. That's really what's going on here. Been a lot of hard work, but I'm really lucky that I managed to still come out on top in a place that I'm safe, and I still have the ability to make my life look like whatever I want. I'm kind of just rambling. I'm sorry if it just sounds like a big old complaint, but it's all part of why I've withdrawn from doing makeup and being online, and I've just been taking things slow because I've just had so much on my mind. It's been feeling nearly impossible to switch my mind off and think about makeup when I just have so much else filling up my head. The things that I love about living in London will always be there, and the people that I love in London will always be there, I hope. And no matter what the outcome of this next period of my life is, I should take this sort of momentum with me, that I can still do what feels best to me. I hope that maybe if you're watching this and you're struggling with the idea of change and what the idea of home is and roots and all that kind of stuff, or if you've moved around a lot, or if you're in the midst of a lot of change, or you're parting ways with some stuff that really means a lot to you and you don't know where to put it, I hope that you can watch this and just hear me say that your needs are always really, really important. And it's really important to allow yourself the opportunity to make changes, even if they're really difficult. My friends, it's not always easy. We're living through a very bizarre time in history right now. So everybody's kind of just got to do what works best for them, and the rest is just kind of a bonus. If you manage to make it through and feel really good the whole time and check everything off your list, that's a bonus in my opinion. If you're struggling getting through a change right now, like I am, struggling to remember the good parts about some of the decisions that you've made, just hear me when I say you're not alone. There's a lot of people going through a lot of change right now. Somewhere in there, you have to be able to find the things that make you feel good, and you have to be able to make the space for yourself to honor your needs. That's what I'm trying to say. Make sure that you're always keeping space for you and your needs. Make sure you're always keeping space for you and your needs. That's all. That's all. That's the tweet. I don't often share very much personal stuff, and I never want to come off self-helpy or I'm giving unsolicited advice or emotional support. I'm just a person on the internet, and I have a platform and I do makeup, and I have lots of thoughts in my head and lots of things that I want to talk about, but I feel like might be heard in a way that's not useful. And maybe this is just mindless rambling and no one really cares, but there's no harm in sharing my stories and sharing my experience and sharing stuff that I'm going through if I want to, and offering some insight. So I took some of a lighter shade of this Auric Glow Lust. This is the shade Pyrite, and I took it and I'm just mixing it actually with the cream bronzer that I used from the back of my hand, just what's left, with a fluffy brush. I'm gonna add some radiance over top of the powder. And normally I would never do this, but this is a liquid illuminator that somehow works over top of powder. It definitely is like an illuminator, not like a liquid highlighter, because it doesn't have that like super metallic shine, but it's like a radiant, literally a glow. See? It gives like a very radiant, soft focus glow. Absolutely beautiful. Anyway, last thing on the topic of this like limbo that I'm in right now, and then I'm gonna stop talking about it because I feel like I've said really all I need to say. I'm working through the process of making peace with where I left things. I did sort of leave just really abruptly. I had had some issues with my health. I decided home was the best place for me to be, you know, like I said at the beginning of the video. So I left a lot of my life there, physical belongings and that. I'm trying to make peace with the fact that I think my career as a makeup artist didn't reach its peak, but I got a lot out of London. A lot that I needed, I got out of London. So I'm trying to just find peace in the fact that I left it, and at some point I will need to go back. Anything that's meant to stay in my life will stay in my life, regardless of where I am. And I think that's a really important thing to try and remember for yourself anytime you're struggling to part ways with something that means a lot to you. Not even part ways, but you're reevaluating its role in your life. It's important to try and remember that the parts that are meant to stick with you for life will. No matter where you go or what crowd you end up with or any of that kind of stuff, it's really important to try and remember that like what's meant for you won't miss you, you know, no matter where you are, no matter where I am. I have to remember that the good stuff will still find its way back to me. It's not like I'm never going to do makeup on someone else again, because I will. I just have a lot of work to do on me first, and it was a lot of work that I was putting off for a really long time, a lifetime. If you're feeling overwhelmed, my message to you is to just focus on what's in front of you today. The rest, everything coming up and everything behind you, you don't have control over. Focus on what you can do today to feel your best. The rest will unfold. Just let it. Yeah, anyway. It feels like a bit of a weight off my chest. Like I was keeping this big secret, like I didn't want people to know that I had gone home for a while. I was really worried for some reason that people were gonna have this perception of me. But what I've realized is that like, no one really gives a fuck. And the less you prioritize what other people think about you, which is hard when you do work on the internet, but the less you prioritize what other people think about you, the easier time you'll have just doing the things that you need to do. This whole internet thing is newish still to me, so I'm still learning, still trying to unpack my anxieties around it. We're still at the beginning of 2021, so I still can get things going like I want to, and being in a different country doesn't necessarily have to change it right now. So, it's day by day. I'm done rambling now. Back to makeup. Thank you for listening. I'm going to spray my face down just to kind of emulsify all that powder. This is Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. It's the mini one. I'm almost done. Anyway, the skin is looking delicious. I'm gonna add a little bit of highlighter. Fenty Beauty Diamond Balm in How Many Carats. And I like this over top of the Auric Glow Lust because it has just enough tackiness that it grips the shine of the Diamond Balm. And it actually just makes the skin look wet. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. My ears are getting really red because I'm anxious about how much I've been talking. It's another thing though that I don't hear a lot of people in the online world talk about. Maybe I'm not listening, but they like anxiety of being online. Like, and I don't think that it gives a lot of people as much stress as I feel, but going from posting about your art or something that you're passionate about into like it becoming kind of a job, into like a lot of people looking at you and a lot of people forming a perception about you based on how you look and how you come across, it's quite nerve-wracking. It could just be that I'm getting used to it, or maybe I'm not cut out for it, but I struggle with a fair amount of anxiety to just get on and casually do stuff. I feel this need to like perform and be my best self and be a version of myself that is like polished and happy and refined and skillful. And like, I don't know, being my real self doesn't mean that those qualities of, you know, being artistic and creative don't exist. Like the two can overlap somewhere, and they do. A lot of the time it gives me anxiety to think about how some parts of being an online creator are that people aren't as invested in your art as they are invested in you. I myself have become like my own brand. And that's cool and amazing, and I now have this platform where I can share and teach. People are so receptive in a very positive way of me and what I do. But there's a part there that's like, I want everything I do to be to the best of my ability so that the opinion of me stays high. That leads me to being very hard on myself and a perfectionist. And it's like, we can't all be perfect all the time. I can't be perfect all the time because I'm not perfect. But I think that that's another thing that I'm learning as time goes on and I get better at this and I do it more, is that I have to still be real somewhere in there too. I think that's why I wanted to share some of the stuff that I'm experiencing right now. Again, I don't want it to sound like I'm complaining, because I really don't mean for it to sound that way. It's just, I recognize my privilege and how fortunate I am, and I'm so grateful for the things that I have. But I also think transparency is really cool. When we see people online or get to know people online and become familiar with them and what they do, seeing them be real people is an important part of the experience, I think. Not saying that if you're online you have to share personal stuff about your life. You absolutely don't. I don't have to do this. I just wanted to because I felt like I could maybe say a couple things that might stick to people in a good way, and also do some makeup because I love to. Anyway, I got my lips to do and then I'll be done. So let's get on with it. Now, in the spirit of Katie Jane Hughes herself, I'm going to use this Makeup Forever artist pencil. This shade is Endless Cacao. I've never seen her do a tutorial without this, or if she does do it, it's very infrequently. But this pencil, since I saw her use it, I was like, I have to get one. And I just did recently, so I'm really happy with it. It's amazing. It's a great color. I massively overlined my top lip today. That's just because I like it. This is like a contour color for my color of lips. It's definitely on the cool tone side of brown, which is rare in a lip pencil, and it's borderline gray. I like it because it acts like a shadow, so when it comes to like overlining, this is the perfect color. You don't see colors like this very often. When I got it and I saw that it worked like this on my skin tone and my lip color, because my lips are like a reddish browny purple, I fell in love. It's that simple. Once I do that, then I'm gonna take Limitless Brown. I'm just gonna define the Cupid's bow and right under at the center. I've been using two lip liners lately, like a shading color and then a definition color. It's just what I've been liking lately. I'm going to do a Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Cream, and this is in the shade Mauve Wives, and it's like a cool toned dusty mauve, pinky, purpley almost. Very last step in my makeup is a couple beauty marks. So I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Feline Flick in Super Brown. One for my beauty mark, one on the tip of my nose. And then I'm just going to cover up a couple spots I have on my face with them. Alright, well, that completes the look and also the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not gonna say sorry I took so long because I've been away for good reason, but here's to trying again because we don't give up. Turned out a cute spring moment, nice and graphic. I love the way this turned out. I love these colors. I'm gonna go take some pictures now, maybe make a TikTok or two. Yeah, I just want to say thank you for your patience with me. Thanks for listening if you made it through. I hope you picked up a couple tips along the way. Maybe saw some products in action that you were curious about. I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts and viewing my process. Thank you for sticking around and supporting me. I know that I have been like all over the place with my consistency in terms of uploading and content here and there, and it's kind of sporadic, but you know what, I'm getting better as I go along, and you know, fingers crossed for the future, that I am able to find a better routine now that I have a designated workspace. And if there's any takeaways you can gain from my perspective, I hope it's just that we are living through a crazy period in history, and everyone is going through a lot of change. Not just me, of course. I hope that among all of that change, if you're listening and feeling like you're struggling, being overwhelmed with the amount of change that's happened and maybe particular things that are affecting you, if you're feeling overwhelmed even just by existing and getting through every day, my piece of advice would be to just try and find the good and try and hold on to it, and try and listen to yourself about what your needs really are. If decision making around honoring your own needs is feeling immensely difficult, I wish you nothing but strength, perseverance, and clarity. Don't mean to get all preachy or sappy, but this has been a tough period for me. And I hope that if anyone else out there is also having a tough time, which I know a lot of people are, you're able to just find some stuff in there that's good for you. Keep pushing, keep your head up, try new things where you can, stay safe, stay strong. You have all my love. If I haven't said it already, it would mean a lot to me if you could give me a thumbs up on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. If you like my content, that would be great. It will help me keep it coming. Until my next video, I will see you all very, very soon. Take care.